Just by a show of hands, how many of you here enjoy watching movies? Thank you. For those of you who do, I am sure the following movies would sound familiar to you. Like the example of Avengers, who assembled to battle against Thanos. Or story of Fast and Furious, where we learn about Ohana. Or it could even be story of Doraemon and his friends, where we learn about moral values in life. What do all these three have in common? They were all presented through form of storytelling. The directors did not just tell you to work together or to believe in moral values. The directors did it through the form of storytelling. The first representation of story started thousands of years ago in a cave in France. It first started as cave drawings and then evolved to as oral traditions where stories were passed down from generations to generations. You may have heard of your grandparents telling you about respect, love, or studying hard through storytelling. In modern days, we use storytelling in product pitches, billboard, and social media. Now, you may wonder, why do we use story? When you're trying to deliver an information to someone, there's this analytical resistance, where we call this as a critical faculty. The critical faculty raises doubt on things that you will hear or feel. Like an example, why? Is it even true? How do you know? And that's exactly why we use story. Story is used to bypass the critical faculty. Because what the critical faculty will do, the critical faculty will prevent you from everything that you see, hear, and feel at a very first glance. When you use story, it helps you to bypass the critical faculty so that your message gets delivered across. Now, you may wonder, and Wesley, but I don't have the story to share. If you're going to zoom into our brain, we have neurons, or we call them as the information messenger. Story creates a sync between the sender and the receiver. When we use story, that's when we fire the same neurons, and this is what we call as neural coupling. In a very layman term, it is like Wi-Fi. When we get connected to the same Wi-Fi network, information gets downloaded and uploaded faster in a more engaging manner. Now, some of you may wonder, Wesley, but I don't have a story to share. You don't need special stories to start. You just need to tell your story in a slightly special manner. Just treat it like a gift that you have for your fellow friends, your fellow audience, and you want them to encounter and to ponder new values. Stories that you share could be fictional storytelling, like Cinderella. It could even be like successful icons on how Colonel Sanders started KFC at the age of 65. Or it could be your very own story on how you managed to overcome a personal struggle. Now, Wesley, isn't it faster to just tell the information just as it is? Why do we need a story? And allow me to demonstrate with you. I could either tell you to believe in yourself, or I can tell you through a form of storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of us here you have seen a circus elephant before? If yes, raise your hand. Thank you. Now, you may have noticed huge elephants like this. On its front leg, they have the metal chain tied. Why? They could easily break away from the metal chain, but they didn't do so. Because when they were much younger and smaller, the circus trainers used the exact same metal chain to tie on its front leg. And every single time the baby elephant would want to break away, they will get hurt really badly. The baby elephant was conditioned to believe that they would not be able to break free from the chain. Now, even though now such a huge elephant, didn't do so because they still believe in the pain they've had in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of us here, we live life hanging on to a belief just because you failed once and we conclude we can never do it again in the future? The reason why I tell this story, for you to break through, you must first be able to break free from your chain. Now, at this moment in time, Wesley, how do I tell a story? And I would like to invite all of you here to be like a director. And I want each of you here to remember you all have stories to share. Now, how do we do so? Allow me to share with you, there is a skeleton that we can all use. A story will first start with its 3 core skeleton, beginning with the first, S, the start, the background of your story, the introduction, and the overview. Story then evolves into T, where we talk about top, your struggle, your challenges, dilemma, or the intense moment that you have experienced. And because of a certain action you have taken, story then evolves to the O, the outcome, the results, the consequences, and very likely to be the version of happily ever after. Once done with the core, you now add the sweetener, the sugar, spice, and everything nice. That's when begins with the R. What's the reality? What did you feel on that time? What time was it? Where? Who are the characters involved? And a story would only be a powerful story when you add you. What's your message to the world? What's the value which you want to bring across through your story? So remember, S-T-O-R-Y. That's how we can all tell stories. Wesley, can you demonstrate to us? Yes, I could. I could either tell you to commit to your passion, or I could tell you a story to illustrate this message. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my mom and my dad. Many, many years ago, I graduated as a chemical engineer. And despite of that, I chose to venture into sales because my dream was to travel across the world to inspire people. And I still remember, and I came back home 1 o'clock midnight, and I was in the living room. My dad was waiting for me. He shouted, "Son, sit down." And I sat down on a brown sofa. My dad asked me, "What happened to your job?" I confessed that, you know what, I resigned. I don't want to be an engineer anymore. My dad was angry. "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to travel across the world. I want to inspire people." He was mad at me. For 30 minutes, he shouted at me. At the end of it, he asked me one last time, "You tell me right now, engineer or speaker?" And I said, "Speaker." He stood up. He banged on the coffee table and he said this to me, "Son, you get out from the house now." Sharp at 1:30 in the morning, I was chased out from my house. I was in a dilemma. Should I listen to my dad or should I pursue my dream? Despite of that, I chose to follow my heart. Thankfully, we have got very good supportive mentors and gurus who supported me along the way. My breakthrough came after 1 year. And after 1 year of me being persistent, I still remember I was on the way to a company, 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was a Wednesday. And when I picked up the call, that was the first time I heard my father cry. "Dad, why are you crying?" My dad said, "Son, as a father, I want to say sorry. I felt I was too harsh on you. From now onwards, whatever you do, I will always be proud of you." And that's when I learned tough times don't last. Tough people do. When you do your best, let God handle the rest. Why did I share this story with you? It's because to believe in your passion. Passion alone is insufficient. You got to commit to your passion to make it happen. Now, at this moment in time, what did I do? I used STORY in order to demonstrate a story for you to send your value across. Now, for those of you who may wonder and say, Wesley, but I don't have a story like you. I believe everyone would have stories to share. Because you may not know on how powerful your story is to the rest of the world. Just like I finally understood how important is my story to the rest of the people. And I'm going to tell you a story about urgency. This is my mom. She passed away in the year 2017. It was in the year 2015 during the Lunar New Year when our family members were gathering and my mom suddenly complained that she had chest pain. We sent her to the clinic and we found out there was a positive cancer marker. We didn't believe at first. We sent her to the hospital and I still remember it was the time that we finally had to take the medical report. 3 p.m. on the afternoon, me, my sister, and my mom, we were waiting by the corridor silently. Doctor came out, called my mom's name, went into the room, and the doctor passed my mom the medical report. Of course, we couldn't understand because it was all full with medical jargons. I took the courage and I asked the doctor, what does it mean? Madam, I'm so sorry to tell you, you developed stage 4 lung cancer. That was a time in my life that I felt I had a countdown timer. When I asked the doctor, how long could my mom survive? Doctor said, 6 months. We went through every medication. We tried every single treatment. And thankfully, instead of 6 months, she survived for the next 2 years. And everything was fine until December 2016. From the lungs, the cancer cells spread to the brain. When someone developed brain cancer, they will start having memory loss. And I still remember my mom could not remember where she put her keys. She could not remember what she ate. She could not remember where was her phone. And I still remember there was once I was feeding my mom for dinner, and all of a sudden she asked me, who are you? That pain in the heart. Despite being painful, we had to fulfill our responsibility. 13 January 2017, 6:30 in the morning, she could not breathe. She was gasping for air. We knew her time was to come. We went down, we did our prayers, and just before she passed away, she was holding my hand. She let go, and she gave me one last smile, the smile of a motherly love, and she passed away. Even though I lost my mom, I gained the most important values in my life, and it's called urgency. Urgency, and it's what to appreciate new values that you have learned from speakers before, speakers after, and you start to appreciate everything that you have in life. Now that is a true meaning of urgency. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that every one of you here, you are a writer. Some are written in the books, some are confined to the hearts, and some are kept as beautiful memories in your mind. And I urge you to share your story. You may not know how powerful your story is to the rest of the people. There will be someone who will be inspired by your story. And there will be someone who will keep your story as a source of motivation to keep fighting in life. Ladies and gentlemen, just before I end my speech, I would like you to ponder this question. What's your story? Thank you very much.